The Will of the Wisps. Sick. Very, very cool. Honestly, going into this game, knowing the first one and having played it so recently, helped me tremendously in exploring it and basically just uh, traversing the world itself. The maneuvering, the platforming, the traps. They've used a lot of the mechanics from the first game, which made it a lot more, made it familiar, especially to me. The things they did input that were new didn't really change the gameplay itself. They made the story a lot more interesting and a lot more immersive and engaging for the player. I gotta say this is a very, very um good step towards better. Like a nice progress was definitely visible. They've added things that were completely non-intrusive, but at the same time added to the story and to the game too. They made it so that now you had like other characters to talk to and other things to interact, and it wasn't just you discovering shit and like trying to struggle. I still struggled quite a lot, but the various types of abilities and being able to upgrade them and not having to level yourself up by the amount of characters you killed and stuff, and like the energy you collected, and the energy collected wasn't really that important in the end. You discovered abilities and they just worked, and then you could like, and the menu with selecting from one ability to another was very simple and quick to use, considering you had multiple abilities, each one of them having their own advantage, but having like 4 buttons. So you could use like a basic one like the sword, and then in various situations use the hammer and stuff to defend yourself, and then the one with where you could launch yourself was very, very, very useful at the end. At the same time, and also the concept of shards, that was a very cool thing. As I said, they've taken a lot of inspiration from Hollow Knight with the charms in Hollow Knight, where you would basically strengthen yourself depending on how, so you basically people would pile together certain charms that would complete one another and then build like a certain power style or a certain way of fighting. This one, each one of them, I don't think I found all of them, or maybe I have, I don't know. But those charms were really useful in giving you certain advantages that were not present in the first game. The first game was very much parkour oriented. Mobile, movement, platforming, jumping and skipping and so on. Your abilities were definitely useful. Some of them were very indeed confusing, like Bash, for example. But in the end, it was very, very, I guess, rudimentary. This one, they've done their research. I don't know how. I don't know if they used input from the population or the following of the game in order to add these into the game, but they've added them and they've helped a lot. They've been this was a step up from the first game. Really nice progression, story-wise, gameplay-wise, decor and everything. Even though it's very similar to the first, the introduction of this one is longer until they hit you with the same scenario as the first game, almost. And then the story itself and like the progress is very much helped by the aforementioned shards and abilities and how they've I guess spread them around the map, and then other characters. Being able to level certain abilities was actually quite cool. I had issues. Obviously, my biggest enemy was the platforming itself, which was not at all friendly. In certain areas, I wanted to shove my face in a wall multiple times and eat my fists. But even so, in the end you did it. If you stuck with it, you would have you would do it. You'd be able to succeed. As for what other streamers have said about this game, fuck the devs and this game was made by the devil. I still agree. In those moments, I felt like I wanted to punch the devs in the face. Like, fuck you. That shit was way too difficult or way too annoying and way too tedious, meticulous. Too much fucking work. But they wanted to make this a challenge. I played on normal. I can't even imagine how difficult this game might be on basic. Not basic, on like the last difficulty level. I don't even want to fucking touch it. But yeah, I liked it. Like the characters and they didn't really make the wells as important anymore. You didn't really have to find a well to discover the map. You could find a bee and he would sell you a map. Another Hollow Knight aspect that is useful, I guess, and it's actually better than trying to find a freaking well. Saving, I don't know in the first game if I died somewhere or if I didn't save, it wouldn't let me in that. I guess it wouldn't. So if I didn't save in a well and I left the game in a certain place, if when I came back I was in the same place, I don't remember that. But wells were not as important. And this time they combined a lot of new, like from the first game, the definitive edition, to this one, they've taken that one, learned from it, added to it aspects that were successful in other games, hence Hollow Knight, and made it into their own, which inspired but not at all copied or anything. Just they still did it in the old Ori fashion with the colors and pastels and everything. It never felt like, oh, I'm playing another game. No, I'm playing Ori, just a better version. I feel like this was progress. Definitely. I have nothing to complain aside from the platforming that just fucking sucked. But yeah, I liked it. Now I'm gonna go play the side quests. Wait, what?